Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Hello, you wonderful. Wow. Good sir. Wow. I'm getting. Wow. Getting lots of love here. Hello, Heather. Wow. Man, we getting all the.
Oh, what did you do?
Oh, what? Well, what did I do? Oh, that's a really good question because I've done a lot of things. Am I proud of all the things? Maybe not. But we are working on it. So no, appreciate that. Appreciate the subscription stuff. My word, Solomon, you just throw in some love, making sure that you're constantly getting the goodness and getting all the stickers that you can get. That's really what you're doing. Um, yeah. Hey, yeah. Thank you for the compliment on the shirt. My sister in law. Holy snap! That's a lot of gift giving goodness of subscriptions. 10 subscriptions. Oh man, and we're gonna have like the hype train because like now it's gonna be like, yo, you did it. You made your achievement because you're awesome and stuff like that. Actually, you're awesome, Solomon. I don't care what Tom says. You're awesome. Okay. I'm not gonna listen to that guy anymore. I'm gonna listen to that guy all the way across the way with the whales and goodness and stuff like that. Kidding, kidding. He doesn't trash talk much. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I gotta behave. No, guys, I missed you guys last week. Heather could actually vouch on this because Heather and I both worked together on I am lost question. Um, Heather and I, Heather can vouch. I missed you guys because I'm used to like doing this every Tuesday with you guys, right? From Tuesday to Friday, I get to hang out with you guys. I get to sit in your like in the word with you. I get to chew and stuff like that. However, I will say this, okay? In the midst of like the chewage of good stuff like that, we cried a lot. Yes, it was nice. We did cry a lot. Um, and I'm gonna say this to you guys. Thank you. See, proper hydration. I got it. To those of you who are on YouTube, maybe are watching, I don't know where our chat box went for you. I'm scared. You done did disappeared. I don't have a chat box for you, but maybe I'm gonna say Nuggets figured out something, and maybe there's a better way. I have no idea. I'm trusting, but we're trusting it. We're trusting. Um, Anywho, what I wanted to share, there's this really awesome dude. I kid you not. There was some really good teaching from this guy. He's actually Canadian, so hey, represent Canada and all that goodness. Um, his name's John. I forget what his last name is. But anywho, John from Sanctus Church, that's here in around Toronto and stuff like that. Go Canada! What up? He was laying down some solid stuff for what I would say is veteran Christians. And by veteran Christians, I mean like people who have been following Jesus and like talking about Jesus most of their life. Yes, like I could say we're veteran Christians in the fact that like, this is my job. Like my job is literally talking about Jesus. But like that's all Christians' jobs. I'm just saying, shocker. Who would have figured that out? But what I mean is like he really challenged us in like where how are we doing with God? How are we sitting in his power rather than our own, not operating out of our talents, not just operating out of our talents or our natural giftings, but like how are we operating in the spirit? How are we getting in there? And legitimately like there were three analogies, and guys, you would be proud of John, okay? Cuz like the first analogy was a Jurassic Park reference. So sometime I'll have to drop that bomb on you guys. Maybe I'll throw it in the chat, or maybe I'll create an Instagram post on it. The second one was on Lord of the Rings, specifically Denethor. The worst dad in all of Lord of the Rings history, punk. And then the third one was Star Wars, and in talking about the corruption of Anakin. And guys, from one nerd to seeing it in another, it was beautiful. It was like level up talks on like energy drinks is how good it was. It was like, oh, like, ah. Fantastic. It was wonderful. But like legitimately, it was good. As Heather pointed out, we cried a lot, and that was due to just a lot of realities all of a sudden hitting for me. And I'm still processing it, and I'm still having conversations with God on it. To be honest, God was working, and life is crazy. 100%. Wow, I'm saying a lot. I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to try and dial that down a little. The cool thing, though, like even this weekend, getting to see Spiritborn's production of Pilgrim, which is a whole production on Pilgrim's Progress, with the main character being Christian, who is the girl in there, and seeing the walk of faith, right? And it's an allegory, right? So it's very in your face what the images are connected to, or to ideas. It was done by John Bunyan, who had a dream about this, and he processed this all. It's really cool. But the thing on Saturday that hit me the most, there's a scene, spoiler alert, Faithful dies, awkward moment. But Faithful dies, and the transition that they had, she had a different kind of outfit, and then she's getting bashed, taken down by this huge kind of swarm of baddies who are just like really ticked off at her. And the baddies in the midst of it, right? Like all of a sudden she pops up and she's white, wearing a white dress, beautiful white dress, and she sees the king, and she is taken to Celestial City, which of course is like representation of heaven, right? And stuff like that. And that made me cry, guys. And I took a moment with my kids for that, and I said, guys, that's actually the focus here. Yes, we want to complete the journey. Yes, we want to live our life. Yes, we want to pursue all that we can, but it makes me think of how Paul says, to live is Christ, to die is gain. And that's like a beautiful, literal demonstration of what that looks like in that mode of, wow, that's what that looks like. That's how it feels. That's the modality in all of that. And so to be able to experience that, to be able to be able to have it where you can see how God can move in that. Like it hit me, and just a reminder of like I need to be willing that at any moment I should be looking forward to the King. That I should be seeing him. That I should be amped up on that. And that's something lately I've been working through. There's been a lot of focus on what's going on right around me, which makes sense. And I'm not like, to all you gents out there, okay, and to the ladies, but I'm speaking to the gents because, hi, I'm a gent. You get so focused on taking care of things, but you need the reminder of what you are taking care of them, but you also need to take care of you, and how are you and God doing? And that was really kind of more a realization, is I have such a tendency to operate on just natural skill, or I'll figure it out. I'll wrestle it into submission. But I have such a hard time coming to a point where it's like, okay, God, I just want to be with you. I just want to meet with you here. So God, help me do that. And we're going to be really kind of hitting that up here in Psalms 49. I kid you not, when I was rereading Psalm 49 today, it has some Ecclesiastes vibes. You may have noticed, like, the title on it is like, what? Like, big brain vibes. What's that? What's that all about? So I encourage you, grab your Bibles. Grab your digital ones, grab your physical ones, just as long as you are able to read and read along. And if you have a different translation, sweet. Let's chew on it together, because different translations can have a different focus or a different thought to kind of work out. I'm excited because this one's good. This one's This one's a brain scratcher, a real chewing through, and I love it. So get ready. And yes, we're finally seeing the high stakes sticker that's up there, the emoji. Awesome, guys. We are doing it. We are rocking it. So glad to check it. Hey, Solomon, you found Sanctus Church? Oh my goodness, dude. Like, look at that. Yell at Nuggets. Why are you wanting to yell at Nuggets? Nuggets! I'm yelling at Nuggets. Oh, sorry. Yes, thank you. Stretch. Oh, actually, that helped. Hey, and you're helping me take care of myself and my little Finch. So thank you. I wanted to know what happens. I guess I'm yelling at Nuggets. So next time I see Nuggets online, I'm going to yell at him. Thank you, Heather. Appreciate that. Okay, I'm going to be good. I'm going to behave. Okay. Psalm 49. Listen to this, all you people, or y'all people. Pay attention, everyone in the world. High and low, rich and poor, listen. For my words are wise, and my thoughts are filled with insight. I listen carefully to many proverbs, and solve riddles with inspiration from a harp. Ooh. Why should I fear when trouble comes, when enemies surround me? They trust in their wealth and boast of great riches, yet they cannot redeem themselves from death by paying a ransom to God. Redemption does not come so easily, for no one can ever pay enough. Ooh. To live forever and never see the grave. Those who are wise must finally die, just like the foolish and senseless, leaving all their wealth behind. The grave is their eternal home, where they will stay forever. They may name their estates after themselves, but their fame will not last. They will die, just like animals. Ooh, this is the fate of fools, though they are remembered as being wise. Pause. Like sheep, they are led to the grave, where death will be their shepherd. In the morning, the godly will rule over them. Their bodies will rot in the grave, far from their grand estates. But as for me, God will redeem my life. He will snatch me from the power of the grave. So don't be dismayed when the wicked grow rich. Oh, sorry, I was supposed to pause there too. Pause. Rough, right? Yeah, come on. So don't be dismayed when the wicked grow rich, and their homes become ever more splendid. For when they die, they take nothing with them. Their wealth will not follow them into the grave. In this life, they consider themselves fortunate and are applauded for their success. But they will die like all before them and never again see the light of day. People who boast of their wealth don't understand they will die, just like animals. Ooh, guys, this is thinking juice, right? And it seems pretty obvious, right? We're talking about something that we covered back in Ecclesiastes, but again, I love how the Bible repeats. And by repeat, I mean like it brings back the attention that we need to on these things. Because I'm not going to lie, I'm guilty on some of this stuff here, guys. I get so focused on the wrong things. So this is where the psalmist is challenging us to recalibrate our vision, rework it, right? In a little bit different way than Ecclesiastes goes about it. Ecclesiastes is like just real rough, right? Like we remember going through Ecclesiastes and you're just like, dude, is there any value in anything that we do? And we found again, what is the two things that we find value in? That go past ourselves. Okay, that's what I mean by value. As in, if you were looking at things in an investment, so get your financial thinking caps on. It's not a big. I'm not the guy that typically jumps on the financial thinking cap. That's why I leave it to Coach. Coach is awesome with that kind of stuff. But here's the thing that I've worked on seeing and being able to shift, right? When you're looking at putting your money into something, I typically like to save it. But really the best thing to do with your money is to do investments. And by investments is your money is doing work while you are not. That's the whole idea of investment, right? Money 101. You didn't think you were going to get a financial tip thing, stuff like that, right? Yes, Heather, I'm getting to it. 100% getting to it. You want your money to do work so that later on you don't have to worry about whether you got money because your money was working all the time that you weren't, right? That's good investment and stuff like that. And so that's where you have investments. So you put your money to work and stuff like that. But that's kind of the thing that we are doing when we are investing in our relationship with God and we are investing in our relationship with other people. So to some people that could be like, well, like, why wouldn't you just have it for you? You could just do all your kind of stuff like that. That'd be as silly as me just going, hey, I'm just going to save all my money and just, that's it. And it just sits there and does nothing. Even if it had a little bit of interest, it's not doing nearly as much as if I was to invest in somebody, right? When you do investments, yes, it's chunks. It can sometimes be small chunks. It can be bigger chunks, but it grows and develops and has a kind of a rolling build up to what it can do. It compounds over time. That's the same thing with you and God and you and other people. When we look at the idea on how we love on other people, how we love on God, and the outpouring and the focus on our relationship with God then becomes the build off of what we can do for other people, that's where it pays dividends. This is where we have longevity that creates impact. And not that it's about you. I want to encourage this. This is not about you, but it does leave a positive impact that impacts other people. So an example of this is a woman from our home church that I grew up in, that me and Coach grew up in. Her name was Dorothy Schmidt. And this woman died at 102 years old. Like, clearly God was loving what she was doing on earth so much that she just like, you just keep doing the work. And I mean, she was doing the work because, man, Dorothy was a prayer warrior. And if you made it onto Dorothy's prayer list, you knew God was listening. It was like she had God's ear and be like, hey. So let's help them. Let's love on them. Let's like seriously. Oh man, this woman. Prayer warrior. That's all I'm going to say. Prayer warrior. Hardcore. But that's investment. That's time where she could have been doing other stuff. That could have been something that she would have done for herself. But no, she spent that time with God and spent time in prayer for other people. And that is investment, right? Yeah, love that for her, right? And now she's getting to see the awesome glory of connecting with God to, like, in a very direct way, right? Like, she's with God. I have no doubt that woman is like with God right now. And even heaven-wise, she's going to see that impact of the prayer and the focus and stuff like that. Like, that's the kind of investment. That's the yield that you want to have on stuff like that. Yeah, we should be jelly, Heather. We should absolutely be jelly on this. We should be like, shoot, I want to be like Dorothy. Frick, I want to be that old dude that be praying for people and just so loving on them that we get to hear crazy stories on how God moved in that and stuff like that. That should be the thing that we're doing. But here, all right, this is the problem, right? This is what Psalm 49, so bringing it back to the text, right? Yes, right, we will be in Jesus' name. 100%, Heather. 100%. But we got to keep the perspective. And so this is the reminder here, guys. So we're going to hop back into the text in Psalm 49, and we're going to chew on it bit by bit, all right? So listen to this, all you people, or the Texas y'all people. Pay attention, everyone in the world. Okay, not just, certain elite classes. No, no, no. High and low, rich and poor, listen. Shema. I guarantee you that's the word Shema. Listen and obey. Hear and do what I'm telling you to observe, to take in. For my words are wise, and my thoughts are filled with insight. The psalmist has been chewing on this, has been working this out, been observing, pulling the Solomon card, except, not gone corrupt. so to speak. Yo, Wally, welcome to the club. Keeping on being awesome. Hope you're having an awesome day. We're just sitting in Psalm 49 and chewing on it. So grab your Bible and join in with us. I listen carefully to many proverbs. And solve riddles with inspiration from my heart. So already we're starting off with the psalmist is like, I've been sitting on this. I've been working through this. I've been looking through the Psalms. I've been looking through wisdom literature, wisdom lit, kind of stuff like that. Proud of you, Wally, for shoveling the driveway. Good man. Good man. You rocked it hard. Man, goodness. Oh man, Solomon is just gifting the love today. Holy snap. Solomon, you've given 101 subs. Holy crikey. Wow. If I was Australian, I'd be like, well, put another shrimp on the bottom. No, I wouldn't actually. I'm sorry. That was horrible. That was supposed to get you to laugh. So far. Wild. So Mm-hmm. Solomon, I see you. See you. What a guy. All right. So back to the Psalms. The psalmist has been chewing on this, has been working through, like, what is the whole point? What is going on here? And this is now where the process is. Holy snap. Wally, why are you doing that? Why are you doing math calculations like that? My word. By golly. By golly. Don't know how to handle that. New information. Solomon keeps on blessing. Shocker. That's not new information. He's Welsh Santa, pretty much, is what's going on. He's Santa that keeps on all year. Okay. Back to the text. So he's been chewing on stuff. He's been trying to figure out all this kind of process and figuring out this problem. And then you're like, so what's the problem? What's going on? This is where the problem is. Why should I fear when trouble comes, when enemies surround me? They trust in their wealth and boast of great riches. Okay, so hold up. Whoa, hold up. So first, fair question. Why should I fear when trouble comes, when enemies surround me? Okay, so why should I fear? So maybe the psalmist is in the midst of a battle. Maybe there's been stuff going on. I think every one of us can say here on the stream, and feel free to throw a thumbs up if you agree. It's easy to freak out when trouble comes, right? It's easy that when you feel surrounded, when you feel like you literally have no one's back, you can be like, God, what's the situation here? What's going on here? Like, I'm freaking out here. But here's this clarity that the psalmist is having. They trust in their wealth and boast in their great riches. And you're like, pardon? What? Excuse me? Doesn't make sense. Like, pivot on troubles and enemies, but then they trust in their wealth and boast. Okay. Well, that makes sense, though. Because, like, you're taught you need to have money, right? You need to have wealth. You need to get the bigger hill of gold than your next door neighbor, right? Compete against the Joneses. You're always comparing yourself to the Joneses. All that. But here's 7. Verse 7 says, yet they cannot redeem themselves from death by paying a ransom to God. Ooh. Right? Like, ooh, gut hit. They have no power over life. So they may have all the wealth, all the riches, but they have no power over life. And you go, okay, like, so what? Neither do we. buddy? What's going on? Redemption does not, as verse 8 continues on, redemption does not come so easily, for no one can ever pay enough to live forever and see the grave, and never see the grave. Like, oh, okay. So yeah, they build up wealth, but then they can't live. Okay. So they're going to die. What's the big deal? Okay. Okay. So the psalmist is painting a picture. He's already got this picture of like, what's the problem with evil, right? What's the problem that typically when we face difficulty, we look at the immediacy of it, right? The direct, like, man, evil people always tend to like just surround me, or bad situations hit me, and they always seem to be pretty wealthy, but they can't live forever, right? They can't hold on to their wealth forever, right? You're kind of like, dude, what is your problem? What do you mean? Like, that's not helping the problem, but it's though. It's adding perspective, right? It's adding a shift to be like, well, no. Like, back to the first question that he throws down. Why should I fear when trouble comes, when enemies surround me? Bigger picture. We're all going to have the same fate. Now, see, that's playing 4D chess before you even, like, pick up anything else, right, guys? Like, this is where now we have a psalmist that's going like, no. Here's the thought. Work it through, okay? So, verse 10. Those who are wise must finally die, just like the foolish and senseless, leaving all their wealth behind. Oh. So you mean they trust in their wealth and boast in their riches, but they're going to eventually leave it behind. There's like nothing of value that they can carry over with them once they die. Oh. Okay. Verse 11. The grave is their eternal home. Grave in this case is Sheol. And Old Testament focus on Sheol was you had two spots. You had where the righteous live, which would be like Abraham's bosom. It's like the good spot. And then you had hell, Hades, kind of stuff like that. Like the bad part of Sheol, which just was darkness and suckiness and was brutal and like it was sad and lots of fire, suckage. It was not good. So he's kind of like dumping them there. He's like, the grave is their eternal home. They will stay forever. So they're stuck. They may name their estates after themselves, but their fame will not last. They will die just like animals. Ooh. Darkness, brutal, suck a lot, must resist making France joke. Yes, resist evil, Solomon, resist evil. But this is the state of fools, though they are remembered as being wise. So the psalmist's perspective here, right, is the retribution that's going to be happening when it comes to the pursuit of wealth, the pursuit of tangible things right now, right? Because that tends to be the theme that we see in Psalms, is that the wicked are focused more on the tangible things around them and causing harm for the sake of getting more tangible things. And by tangible things, I'm talking about like wealth, gold, prestige, honor amongst people. Like it's very present focus. It's short game goal, right? It's like when you're playing chess and you're just moving to take out pawns. Meanwhile, your opponent, yes, is losing pawns, but they see how they're going to take out your king in like 3 moves. Like that's the difference here that the psalmist is trying to point out. Is these wicked, the ones whom we kind of look at and go like, how are they wealthy? How come good things seem to happen to them? It's like, short haul, yeah, sure. But they're not thinking endgame. And this is what Heather brought up, right? Like the eternal perspective, the internal investment that's going on it's a longevity play. So when they die, there's no hope past it. That kind of sucks. This actually would be a really good comparative note to Jesus's parable about the rich man and Lazarus, right? because that's what Jesus essentially puts out here in the idea of like, what's their pursuit and focus? The rich man was all about wealth, all about living life in luxury for himself and for those around him. Lazarus was this poor dude who, like, even the dogs would lick his wounds, right? He barely has anything. And yet they die the same night. And it's the rich man that ends up going to this part of Sheol, the bad spot, the bad place, as if you guys ever seen the show The Good Place, it's the bad place. They go to the bad place, and here he's like freaking out to Lazarus to just like dip his finger and have just a drop of water hit his tongue for relief from the pain and agony for even just a little bit. But they can't, they're separated. And yet Lazarus is the one who's in Abraham's bosom, close to his chest, the provision, the safety, the security, right? The peace that's coming in with being associated to Abraham, to the one who knows God, right? The one who's connected with him. There's a difference in that. There's a safety and security. And that's almost kind of like what the psalm throws down. Like, this is what Jesus, I could easily see. I'm not saying this is what he did, but I could easily see him riffing off of Psalm 49, and the people listening are like, oh, shoot, that makes a little bit more sense, right? That makes a little bit more sense. But then the brutal part, and this is more the reality that we are hearing in this last bit, or in like verses 10 to 13, is when the rich man is like asking for an angel, yo, like, send word to my family on how brutal this place is, that I'm here and that they should not come. And the angel's like, well, like, no, that's not, well, send me back so I can tell them. It's like, well, if they won't, like, they're not going to listen to you. They've had Moses, they've had the prophets, they've had like others. They won't listen to a dead guy being raised from the dead on that. If they won't listen to Moses or the prophets, to the word, to the law, the Torah, the revelation from God, they're not going to hear from you. Like, it just feels like, oh my word, so futile, so sucky, so, you know, you're like, oh dude, so then like, how do I get out of this? Here's the thing, right? This is what it's chewing on. So we've seen the helpless estate of the wicked, or those who only focus on wealth and trying to get their hands on it to be better off and like mess with people and stuff like that. I would have thought rich people would love prophets. I'm very... Oh, Solomon, I had to think on that one. You actually... prophets, like money, not prophets that you... Oh, bad pun. That's a dad joke. That should be called a Wilson joke. Actually, we're just going to call it Solomon jokes. That's what we're going to do. All right. So after that, right, we pause. We chew on this. We kind of go like, okay. So pursuit of wealth is not really worth it. The pursuit of owning things, not really worth it. Okay, so then what is worth it here, guys? What's going to make it worth it, okay? So 14 and 15 kind of like give a little shift here, okay? Like sheep, they are led to the grave, where death will be their shepherd. Okay, so like these are the people that pursue wealth, right? In the morning, the godly will rule over them. Their bodies will rot in the grave, far from the grand estates. So all that they have worked on, all the things that they had worked hard, will actually end up going to someone else. And the divine use of it, divine retribution, is that it's going to turn out to be the godly, the ones who manage it to be able to pour into other people, to bless other people, to love on other people, create longevity in it. Those are the ones who are going to rule over it. Ooh, The very people that they would have been like, who cares? Like, they're not going to expand the wealth. It's like, no, they're going to be blessing other people with it. Like the whole intention it's supposed to be. Like how God kind of designed it all to be. Doesn't that slap, guys? Doesn't that like hit? Like, oh my word. So so then we sit here in verse 15. But as for me, God will redeem my life. Redeeming is a financial term. When I'm pouring out, right? Like God's the one who's our great redeemer. He's the one who paid the price, the ransom that was owed for us to be able to have a connection with God. If Jesus didn't die and raise from the dead, we would still be in debt to God because of sin. Because sin is the debt. Sin is the thing that separates us from having that connection with God. But here, God will redeem my life. He will take care of that. He will cover that. Because it's really about our connection with God, right? He's the one who sustains us. He's the one who gives us peace, gives us rest. He will snatch me from the power of the grave. So that's the thing that's tethering them, is that they invest in the wrong things, which kind of builds up this negative equity on them, so that they are really in debt and really don't have any value whatsoever. And any value that they had, tangible or not, then is given to someone else. Think about the parable of the talents, right? The ones who went out and invested, the ones with the 5 talents and the 2 talents, they went out and invested in the gifts that they've been given, in the things that they were able to share and spread the wealth of what this king gave. However, the one who is given 1 talent, he decided to stow it away because he's like, well, I know that you can have grown things where it was not yours or stuff like that. Like, you know, like he attributed that, like, you're a pretty frugal king, so like I want to make sure that you're going to get your return back. And he goes, dude, if you would have at least put it in the bank, I would have gotten interest and it would have gained a little bit. And this did nothing. Like, what the heck's wrong with you? Investing in people, investing in the right things, investing with an eternal prospect. Does that make sense, guys? You following along? Thumbs up if you're catching it. Thumbs down if you're like, huh? Because I get it. It's cool. You can throw it down. But it's not you who brings the value. It's God who brings the value. We just need to be faithful and pour it out wherever we can. And that's where the righteous will do that. But the wicked, the ones who tend to self-internalize, and I get it. There's a security thing. And we'll talk more on that. But I love verse 15. But as for me, God will redeem my life. He will snatch me from the power of the grave. Because when I focus on when God tells me I need to be pouring out, I need to be pouring out. Instead of holding up, going, yeah, but God, I don't know how this is going to work out. And he's like, well, that's my job. Guys, that's a really hard thing sometimes for us to take in. If you struggle with that, you're not the only one. I get it. 100%. But that's where we got to be faithful in that. That's where we got to be true and stick to how are we listening and following God's lead on that. That's why we need to chew on that. It's not you that brings value. It's God that brings value. So, 16 and onward here. So don't be dismayed when the wicked grow rich, and their homes become even more splendid. For when they die, they take nothing with them. Their wealth will not follow them into the grave. In this life, they consider themselves fortunate and are applauded for their success. But they will die like all before them and never again see the light of day. People who boast of their wealth don't understand. They will die just like animals. Guys, I find that interesting that that was actually a repeated line, like animals. Because that's also in verse 12. But their fame will not last, they will die just like animals. People who boast of their wealth don't understand. They will die just like animals. Okay, confession time with Wilson here, okay? Wilson is going to have his sharing moment on where he's been at on that. Okay? So, buckle up, get ready, get in your cozy little spot. Yes, Solomon, thank you. I will hydrate. You hear the raspiness of my voice. You hear the raspiness of my voice. Guys, here's the thing that I'm chewing on here, okay? And those of you who've watched the stream or have heard me a lot, you know my my love for this ministry, but also my difficulty for this ministry. My love for this ministry is that I get to nerd out with you guys. I literally 4 out of the 5 days of my week, I get to sit here and read the Bible with you. I've always just wanted to be able to do that, to be able to create a Devo time, to nerd out, to bring nerd connections to this, right? To have nerd dives with you guys, and to be able to reach out in a way that I honestly think nobody else, or sorry, not nobody else. There are a bunch of other people that are doing this kind of thing, but I think we are kind of unique in how we are doing this in a community way. And I'm seeing a lot of God's hand on how things have been coming together more recently. And I'm saying that with the Quiet Council, our ministry leader team, and then our support team, the crew that's helping me directly with other things. Guys, this is what I've dreamt, and this is what I've envisioned. And I really think it was God's movement on that, and I'm thankful that I'm able to see some of that. So I'm blessed, and like lots of people go like, dude, you have like the best job ever. Yes, I do. I really do. But with having what I call the best job ever comes the load of like, the financial stuff is not ideal at all. You've heard me talk more about money and things being rough and tight, and some of you have outrageously blessed us. Solomon, I'm looking at you. Okay? Like, legit, Solomon, Hoagie Dinah, been a blessing. But there's been so many other people, and I'm thinking like Heather, who's blessed us. I'm thinking, Wally, dude, you've blessed us too, and Nuggets, holy snap, like anyone who's been involved or directly connected in some way has seriously blessed us in multiple ways. But my question is always like, am I doing the right thing for my family and where things are? Because you don't go into ministry for the money. You really don't. And anyone who does, I'd really like to ask, okay, what's your actual intentions in the ministry? A little bit. Not that you can't have wealth and do God's ministry. I think you can. I think we can better demonstrate that. But this psalm really hits home on the perspective of, where am I keeping my perspective on it, guys? Am I always looking at the greener grass? I think of a Bluey episode that me and my wife will laugh at almost every time, where it starts off with how Chili is like comparing her stuff to other people, and Banna's like, oh, don't worry about it, like it's just the way it is, like there's stuff around the house that she could fix and or wants to fix, and it's like, oh, no, it's fine, stuff like that. But then Lucky's dad, who's their neighbor, gets a new barbecue, and like that's like really cool. It's like a wood stove barbecue. It's so cool. A pizza oven. And Bennett's watching, and you see his demeanor from like, oh hey, to like, I need a pizza oven. And legitimately Legitimately, the next line from Chili, his wife, is like, "Oh, Lucky's dad's lawn is looking pretty green." And it's just like such a beautiful jab at like a legitimate thing, right? It's the race against the Joneses. It's the whole idea of like grass is always greener somewhere else. And here's the thing that I'm still wrestling with, still giving to God. Cuz he's given what I need. Not what I want necessarily, but what I need. But in some of it, he's given me some of what I want. I get to nerd out with you guys. And yeah, that I get to say part of my work is video gaming, which is weird. But that's also been working on like, then how do I spend that time in that mode, connecting in faith? But what I'm trying to bring it back to, I know you guys are like, holy snap, Wilson, so many squirrels. What I want to come back to, and I feel like God's been throwing this reminder at me. Where am I putting my value in? What am I actually investing in? Because I still have odd panic attacks on, are things enough for my family? Or am I doing enough for my family? I actually had this just last night. It was over something that just kind of hit yesterday. And my wife, coach, is awesome. Just a reminder, you are doing enough. You are enough. You're going at it enough. And my heart's for my family. But that's where I need to listen to God, to wait on him. How am I investing in them? But first of all, how am I investing my time with him? Because that always needs to be the investment that I'm putting in first. Because when I invest in the eternal things, right? Invest in God, who's ultimately eternal, who knows where my thoughts, my prayers can best go to, and best invest in other people. Then I can invest in other people. And by investing in other people, I'm seeing God's hand at work. I'm being able to be a partner with God like the way I'm supposed to be. Like we are all supposed to be from day one. That's the whole point of Adam and Eve, right? Like that they are the image bearers of God, the ones who are to invest in their connection with God and then to bless and grow things around them. It's not about hoarding, it's about loving, cultivating, developing other people and things around them. And so my challenge in this is how am I focusing that, getting refocused on that with God? How am I getting that mental shift back to like, okay, God, how can I keep that eternal perspective? Which is really hard when life kicks you down sometimes, or when things are heavy, when certain expenses are coming up, when life is rough as it starts off, right? Like it looks at God, why am I worried about this kind of stuff? I appreciate how it poses it as a question. Why am I thinking about this when life is getting rough? Or why am I why am I caring about how evil is going on? Like how the wicked are amassing wealth and stuff like that. Like why? Because in the long haul, it doesn't matter. In the long haul, whether Mike Wilson, Nerdy Arc, was financially a wizard or so well off to do, doesn't really matter in the long haul. What matters in the long haul is, did Mike Wilson, Nerdy Arc, pour into the people around him with the love that God poured into him? Did Mike Wilson, Nerdy Arc, constantly invest in other people, be real with them, pray that and have an opportunity to share the love of God that he's experienced so that they can experience that love of God and then potentially learn how to love and connect with God themselves. That's really the important question. That's the eternal perspective. That's the focus that I should be having. It's not about how big my bank account is. It's not about if I'm going to leave an estate or whatever. What matters is, do my kids know God? Do they know that their dad loved them because God loved their dad so much? And it was just a huge outpouring from that. To the point where they are overflowing because of that, and they need to outpour to other people and are outpouring. Guys, that's what actually matters. That's the stuff that makes the difference. That's the stuff that pulls you from the grave, because the reminder and focus is always eternal. The end goal is always there. Yo, what's up, Tom? That's always the push behind it all. The Eyes Up Guardian thing that we've got now as our little emoji thing like that. Keep your eyes up on what's right. Doesn't mean you are completely useless here and now. You are. You are able to pour into people around you right now. But the thing is, keep your mental perspective on God. Keep it focused on God. Keep on pouring on him, and then keep on pouring on those around you. That's what that psalmist is focusing on. Don't focus on the dollar signs. Focus on having your eyes clear and focused on him. Because that has longevity. That has eternal investment in that. But then it's a reminder of you only have a short life to live. So you got a lot of work to put into it, to bless others and to hear from God. But when you're doing that, God's got you. That eternal perspective then goes, well, then I need someone to save me. Right? That's that call out that God, thank goodness God is my Redeemer, the one who pulls me from the grave. You can have that with Christ. That's my invitation to you guys right now. If you don't know Jesus, if you're hearing this for the first time, you're like, well, how do I do that? Well, one, I encourage you, find out about this Jesus guy. Pick up a Bible. You can find them online. If you are local, come on here. We got Bibles. We can throw them at you hard. If you are like, well, dude, download YouVersion. It's free, and you can put it on your phone, and you can download versions of like translations and stuff like that. Join in here. You're going to hear about Jesus. Going to tell you right now. That's what we do. But ultimately, I want you to, Jesus is God who's come down to earth. And you're like, well, why did God come down to earth? Because we screw up. I guarantee you know what screwing up is like. We do that by being inconsiderate of other people, by being selfish and focused on ourselves and not investing in other people, not loving on other people. That's sin. It's brokenness. It severs ties from us, and it actually severs ties from God, this awesome ultimate being who created us to bear his image. And by bear his image, it's like to be like him, to be his representative on earth. And how we messed that up. We thought, God, we can do it on our own. And so we try and do that by being masters of different things, either our money, and we end up misusing it, our ties to other people, and we end up hurting people, breaking them, stuff like that, even into our own minds and selves, right? And this is where you can have a lot of internal problems that go on. It is infectious, and we call that brokenness sin. Those are choices to do harm on other people or do harm on God. Emotionally, mentally, period, stuff like that. So we have a sin infection problem. It's like a virus. It just keeps on spreading no matter what. And there's no way for us to deal with it. So Jesus comes down. He demonstrates what a life looks like following God. And pursuing him, loving on other people. And it was so radical that higher ups didn't like it. And so they put him to death. Well, trick thing is that was the whole plan all along. Because he had to be the ultimate sacrifice. He had to be the one who took on our brokenness. He was the one who had to pay for all brokenness, because biblically, the brokenness has to be dealt with. That's why there was animal sacrifice back in the day. But ultimately, we look at Jesus as the ultimate form of sacrifice, because he was absolute perfection that had sin thrown on him, the brokenness in our world thrown on him. And he took it all. He died, but he didn't just stay dead. No. He rose back from the dead. That showed that he had power over sin and death, because by sin, we are all doomed to die. But if we hold on to Christ, there's resurrection. That there's going to be a day when Jesus completely ratifies it all. It's going to bring clarity when he comes back. Yeah, he's coming back, and it's awesome. And then when he does that, oh man, no more sin, no more brokenness. And if you're connected with him, if you choose to follow him, if you go, yo, Jesus, I need to be saved. I'm so broken. I'm so messed up. I can't fix it on my own. I need your help. You call on him. You say, Jesus, I believe you're the one that can save me. You're the only one that can save me. You're the one who has dealt with this, and I want to follow you. I want to pursue that. Then when you do that, you become part of the family of God. Yo, it's awesome. Like, you automatically get to be a part of a family, which is super sick and super great. Fantastic love and goodness. But then you also get the Holy Spirit, which is part of God, who then speaks to you, who guides you along this way, who gives you strength and power and just keep on pursuing him. We're part of this community. So that's my encouragement. If you want to get out of spiritual debt, out of spiritual sin and brokenness, come to Jesus. He's the one who took care of that bill. He's more than willing to, he's already paid for that bill. And when you call on him and you are honest with him, man, dude, it makes a difference. Thank you. My throat's getting dry. So that's my offer to you. And thank you. Oh, shoulder popped. And if you prayed that prayer, or if you're like, dude, now what do I do? Then join us up on our Discord. Let's have a chat on it. Let's be an encouragement for one another to grow and to pursue God, to pursue a relationship with God, to hold on to that, to be an encouragement for one another. Shalomi, my homie Rabbi. Good to see you on here. Thank you for the follow. Yo, appreciate that. You wonderful, beautiful people following. Was not anticipating that. Yeah. I got a quote, but Twitch chat may block it because it has the maybe an un-PC word. Okay, well, if you direct message me on Discord, Solomon, and then I can translate it, stuff like that. Intrigued by the convo? Well, you should be ForceCon? Yeah, sure, absolutely. What is Glutentag? Oh my goodness, it's supposed to be Gutentag, but we put it's gluten, but without the gluten. Sorry, that was a horrible joke. Please forgive me. Yeah, if you throw it, yeah, you did. I was literally just gonna say. Okay, I'm just quickly reading Solomon. I'm gonna read it, and then we'll see if we can throw it down. Oh no, I think that's good. I think it's a good quote. All right, here it is. We're gonna throw it here, guys. Okay. This is Solomon's quote of the day. Let us not be afraid to be humble, small, helpless, to prove our love for God. The cup of water you give the sick, the way you lift a dying man, the way you feed a baby, the way you teach a dull child, the way you give medicine to a sufferer of leprosy, the joy with which you smile at your own home. All this is God's love in the world today. Mother Teresa. Yo, that's good. That's good. That's good. I appreciate that. Yeah, man. That's good stuff. Forrest Gump, we've just been diving into Psalm 49. I recommend you totally reread it, and maybe you might want to watch this video after we're done the stream, because we are sort of close to wrapping up. Now's the time of our live stream where, dang, Solomon just be blessing today. Good grief. Shows up and throws love everywhere. What is this? Anywho. Anywho. This is part of the segment where we are asking, if you got a prayer request, please throw it down. If you're on the Twitch chat, you can totally throw down your support has arrived thingy, and it will accent the prayer requests, and then that way I can see it a little bit better. Because Wilson's getting older, so like vision's like, we're working on it. I'm working on it, okay? I'm working on it. It's what happens when I stare at screens and stuff like that. Cool. But yeah, feel free. Take the next like minute or so to put it in, stuff like that. Dang. Yeah, Solomon, we can be praying for that. Absolutely. Cut your back. Man. I'm gonna drink some coffee. Yeah, I've been hydrating with water, not with coffee lately. I still love this mug. All right, we got in our prayer requests. So I'm just gonna take this time. We're gonna pray. Father God, I thank you for this time where we've been able to sit on Psalm 49. And the reminder to have your perspective, the reminder to have your vision, your goal ahead. That ultimately, God, we need to be sitting with you. Ultimately, we need to be not worried about our neighbors who may have better things or nicer things or like whatever it is. Competing with the Joneses is the phrase that keeps coming to mind. We don't want to be like Smaug. Dragons that are hungry for gold. You gotta even thank you in C.S. Lewis, the reminder of like when we are in pursuit of that kind of stuff, it can turn us into a dragon, into a beast. And the reminder that even the wealthy die like beasts, like die like animals. Ooh. God, we want longevity to our name. We want to have legacy. We want to have impact. But as we see in your scripture time and time again, the only way that we can have impact is in our investment with you, in our time with you, because you are eternal. But then our investment in those around us, blessing them, showing your love to all those around them, that creates legacy. And not out of selfish pride of like, look how awesome we are, but to honestly demonstrate your love that you have given us. Because we don't deserve it. You're an amazing God who can do that, who can bless way past us. And I love how your blessing just cascades over and over and over to other people. It's infectious in a good way. So God, help us to do that. I pray that in our level up challenge here this week is to invest in our time with you and to invest in our time with others. And to see it as how can we pour out to other people? How can we love on others? And even if we're feeling down and out, God, pray that investment time that we have with you would be filling us, that we can let go of some of these comparison games that we have in our heads to other people, and can be something that beats us down. Help us to hear your words, your investment in us, and Help us to pour into that relationship with you, but then to pour out to other people through that too. To be a blessing to other people. Thank you that you free us from the grave. That we are not stuck in Sheol, but have you as our blessing, as our Redeemer. God, right now I just pray for Solomon. Thank you that he is such a blessing to us. God, I pray that he's going for chemo treatment tomorrow. God, that sucks. Chemo treatment is hard and hits the body. God, I pray for even small graces to pop up. Small things that can make a big difference for him. But I do pray for some relief. For some peace. Pray that as he keeps on loving on his parents, God, that he would be able to see the encouragement that's there. But I pray that we would be an encouragement for him, a support for him when things are rough. Just as he's a blessing to us, help us to be a blessing to him. God, I just pray for my dad. We still don't have any news on what's going on, but just help in this waiting process of figuring out what the next step is for getting his heart checked out and what's the next step. Pray for him to have peace of mind and peace in his heart. I thank you for the investment that my mom and my dad have been in me and working on a heavenly perspective. God, help me to just come to you, to honestly give everything to you and trust and rely on you. You are my sustainer. You're the one that gives me what I need, and you see my family and you love them even more than I do. And you take care of them. So help me to see that, to trust in that, to rely on that, and just to be faithful to pour into my family wherever I can. Yeah. And to pour out to these awesome guys, to love on them too. Thank you for these guys that are here online. All these people that are seeing this, who have seen this, and are connecting here. God, help us to keep our eyes on you, to love on others around us. We ask this in your name. Amen. Well, guys, that's our first stream in a bit. I missed you guys. I really did. I'm looking forward to being on again tomorrow for our other Nerds in the Word podcast. You may have seen at the beginning of the video, and those of you who are just hopping on, you're like, what do you mean at the beginning of the video? If you go back on YouTube and on Twitch, there at the beginning we have slides and stuff like that. We have a new segment that's kind of replacing our video game time for the time being. It's called the Night's Vigil. Yeah, it's a very cool name with very medieval vibe. With that, the Night's Vigil is just an open spot to be able to come on and join in Discord tonight from 9 p.m. to 12 a.m. That's Eastern Standard Time. And sorry, Solomon, that's really late. I know. It sucks. If there was a way I could just like get Solomon to just be able to be in a weird time shift thing, I would do it. We'd figure it out. But join in on that. You don't have to play video games. You don't have to be like super talkative. It's like if you can't shut your brain down, or if you just want to have somebody to talk with, or if you want prayer, or if you want to hang out, or if you do want a game, it's there. The picture that I have is like two knights hanging around a fire. That's because often people around a fire, you just naturally have a calm vibe. And we can all do that. We're all adventurers in this big thing called life, and we are working together to really progress, to level up. But sometimes you need a breather. Sometimes you need to decompress. Sometimes you just need to know someone's got your back. And yes, Nuggets! There I yelled at Nuggets, who might see the stream. But at least I did yell. So thank you, Solomon, for the yelling for Nuggets. Anyway, guys, that's the end of this one. Hope you have an awesome day. Take care.